Hey, so in this video I wanted to talk about this patch that I made where I'm kind of combining some of the techniques from the other videos that I made, and I'm using them to make this kind of MIDI reactive 3D sculpture patch visual that hopefully I could build on this to make a music video or have something that runs during a live performance. And the way I have it set up is that I have a track I made in Live. This is Live 9. It's running on my laptop, and it sends MIDI over the network using these Max for Live patches that just take MIDI and send them using UDP send to the patch that's running on my desktop that has the jitter patch. The desktop is just better suited for doing visual stuff. I like to keep it separate like that. Then that MIDI comes in here and it controls kind of these different elements that I have in the patch. So let me just play a little bit of the patch and then I will talk about it. Okay, so what's going on there is over in the live project here, I recorded some guitar improv. I recorded a bunch of stuff and then I just picked this part that I liked, and I went over it and I transcribed the part on this MIDI track. So if you look at these MIDI clips here, they're just exactly what I'm playing on the guitar. And then I took out some notes and just kind of cleaned it up so that it sounded okay on the piano track. And I have some other tracks that just have different clips and percussion sounds and glitchy noises just to kind of follow along this track. And nothing here is on the grid. I know it says 87 BPM, but there's really no grid. I just played it and then I went over it with the MIDI. The MIDI is not on a grid, and all of these just take MIDI from that piano, so it's all just very fluid, and I wanted the patch to look the same way and not really rely on a grid. So like I said, I have these tracks that take the MIDI from over here. These are the actual instruments. These tracks just receive that MIDI and send them with a Max for Live patch. And then I go back over here to the jitter patch, and I've got a bunch of different elements that are triggered by that incoming MIDI. This one's kind of left over here. I'll talk about that in a sec. So I have it split up into a couple different parts. The first thing that jumps out is the Skybox environment that I can move around in with the arrow keys. That's basically ripped straight from the help file for Skybox, I think, GL Skybox. And then there's this camera control little patch that's also from the example. And I think the background is also from the PBR maps folder that they give you. This one, where you just drag this in here and it gives you a bunch of different textures and backgrounds to work with. So beyond that, I've got this note circle patch that I showed in another video. Right, it's drawing grid shapes and lines between them at points around a chromatic circle. So it's just kind of visualizing like chords and melodies and stuff. And the other shapes and 3D objects and stuff are all inside of this subpatch, or grid shapes. So in here, I've got these 3 different things that are going. This little section is controlling those 3D models that were moving around. There's 4 of them. There's an apple, a lighthouse, a coffee cup, and a laptop. So I just wanted to use outside models to see how that worked in the patch. And yeah, I just position them and I draw them to a node, and they are, you know, hidden or revealed by the transport playing from the live patch. So if the project is playing, it comes in here and it enables this node, which lets you see the stuff that's rendered to that node. I'm doing the same thing with the other elements. There is, let me show. So right now what you're seeing is this other one called the shape spawner. I'll talk about that in a sec. But so like the models are here. All right, you can see them rotating around. Now they're hidden. This other little setup is the little ring system I made. This is running off of JGL multiple, like I showed in another video. And I don't know, it's just kind of this cool central element of the piece. It's kind of decorative. I don't have it visualizing like any kind of musical thing. It's just in there because it looks cool. And over here, I've got this other spinning element. This is based on a poly subpatch, which just has a grid shape, and I'm sending positions to those grid shapes, and I'm controlling some other things like their scale and whether it's a cube or a sphere. And as those positions get sent in, this voice steal attribute makes it so that, you know, old copies are deleted and new copies are made at the new positions. So that's what gives this trailing effect. Like if I turn off steal, they just stay there because, you know, I would have to create more voices for new positions to show up, new grid shapes to show up. So that's what creates that trailing effect. And the voices kind of ends up being the length of the trail. So like if I made it 5, put the color back. So now it's a short trail. If I take it back up to 24, now the trail is much longer. And to get that circle movement, I'm using this this little, you know, not a subpatch, but just kind of collection of objects, like I showed in the JGL sketch video, where I'm just going from 0 to 360 with line. I'm turning that into XY coordinates around a circle, and that's driving the position of these grid shapes as they move around. All of those shapes are being rendered to this node shape spawn. And so if I wanted to, I could kind of twist the whole setup around. All right. And that's it for this subpatch. This is just, you know, 3D objects floating around the scene, and they're being revealed or hidden by the transport. So the other part of this patch is this subpatch called collage, And in this one, I'm using JitGL multiple connected to this video plane to create multiple video planes. I can control their position. Right, I can spread them out a little bit. I can control their rotation. And I can control what texture they're using. So in this subpatch here, I've got all these images that I clipped out of just different things, and they are sent into these textures. I have the textures named just A through M, so I can have a bunch of them. And here in the multiple object, there's a GL param called texture, and you give it at texture and then a list of textures. And there is something you can do with a multi-slider where you can set the textures for each individual video plane. And I talked about this in another patch too, but so I'm just reusing this this trick that I learned from a Max user named Micron that I don't think has like an active page anymore. But so that's kind of the video collage aspect of that. And that is pretty much the patch, right? If I show all the different elements at once, it looks like this. It's a little complicated looking, but those are all the different elements of it. And yeah, I'm just hoping to kind of keep making these and seeing how I can combine all the different techniques that I showed in those other videos. So yeah, so that's pretty much it. And at this point, I'm kind of caught up in these videos to, you know, what I know in jitter, and I'm hoping to keep documenting like new patches and new stuff that I make. But I just needed to, I kind of need to go through these old patches and talk about them just so I can kind of put them away for good, so to speak. So here's hoping I can make some new stuff pretty soon. See you later.